Most people, when they come to this class, come because of this right here. They're turning 65. Now, this doesn't apply to you yet, but it will at some point. You're going to have a second opportunity to redo how your Medicare works whenever you turn 65. So right now, you're on, there's other ways of getting onto Medicare other than what I'm describing to you. One of those ways is by being on Social Security disability for at least 2 years. So in the 25th month, then you're eligible as though it was your 65th birthday. Okay. So there is an initial enrollment period that includes your 65th birthday month. For the sake of conversation, what month is your birthday?
April.
April, okay. So what day in April?
13th.
April 13th. So let's count back. April, March, February, January. So in the year in which you turn 65, you could begin the enrollment process in January, and whatever you do takes effect on the first day of April, your birthday month. And then if you were a procrastinator, and you're not, I can tell because you're here. Yes. But if you were, then you would have 3 more months after your birthday month. So you'd have May, June, and July. You could also enroll during those months, and you wouldn't be late. You could get enrolled during that time. That's what brings most people here. Some people, though, don't enroll when they turn 65 because they're still working, and they have what's called creditable coverage through their employer. Well, this means that they work for a company that has 20 or more employees, and they have coverage that's equal to or better than what Medicare offers. So that's called creditable coverage. If you have creditable coverage, you don't have to enroll in Medicare when you turn 65. You ride that horse as far as you like. Now, there are some things that are not creditable coverage. COBRA is not creditable coverage. VA is not creditable coverage. It's the government's own program. Who would have thought? Sharing ministries are not creditable coverage. For instance, we participate in Christian healthcare ministries. It's not creditable coverage. People who contribute to HSAs need to discontinue making contributions to HSAs at least 6 months before taking any part of Medicare, so they don't run afoul with the IRS. They can keep their HSA. That's really good because they can pay premiums out of their HSA. They can pay other medical expenses out of their HSA. It's very nice to have. They just need to discontinue making contributions to their HSA before they get on to Medicare. Now, Medicare enrollment usually happens, there's different ways you could do it. You could do it online. You could do it by going into an office. You could do it by phone if you needed to. Most people do it online at ssa.gov. And Medicare, contrary to popular belief, you already know this, that Medicare is not free. Part A usually doesn't cost anything because people have contributed to FICA taxes for at least 40 quarters. That's like 10 years of their working life, or their spouse has contributed to FICA taxes for at least 10 years. And therefore, they've already paid their Part A premiums, so they don't have ongoing premiums for Part A. Part B has a monthly premium, which for most people is $185 a month. Now, we start this conversation for most people with an explanation of what we call original Medicare, Part A and Part B. Part A is hospital insurance. Part B is medical insurance. And I'm going to explain Part B first because it's the simpler of the two to kind of get your brain wrapped around. And that is, you pay a monthly premium of $185. It could be higher for some people. And with that, the government gives you insurance. You pay a $257 deductible first time you go to the doctor, and the government covers 80% of your doctor bills. So that's pretty good insurance if you think about it. The problem is that it only covers 80% of your doctor bills. That leaves you responsible for the other 20%, and there's no maximum on that. How quickly can you run up $100,000 in medical expenses? You know, it gets real expensive real fast. So we need to mitigate that exposure somehow, and you're going to do it in one of two ways. You're either going to do it with a Medicare Supplement, or you're going to do it with an Advantage plan. That's what you're familiar with right now, is an Advantage plan, also referred to sometimes as a replacement plan, And I'll explain why they call it that. But before we go there, let's just imagine that you don't have any of this. And we'll talk about Part A. What is your Part A coverage like? So that's hospital insurance. Now, if you go to the hospital, any hospital, that's not VA, okay? You go to Memorial Hermann, you go to Methodist Hospital, you go to St. Luke's Hospital, they're going to have a deductible of $1,676. How do I know that? Because it's the same at all hospitals. And that's not an annual deductible. That's a deductible per benefit period. It sort of begs the question, what is a benefit period? The benefit period begins when you're admitted to the hospital, and it ends 60 days after you're discharged from the hospital. So if you go back to the hospital, you get out, 45 days later you go back, then you don't have to pay the deductible again because you already paid it. But if you're out of the hospital for 61 days and you have to go back, even if you're going back for the same thing, you have to pay the deductible over again. So you could pay that more than one time during a year, and that would really be a drag. Now, once you've paid that, days 1 through 60 in the hospital don't cost you anything extra for the hospital. Now, we're talking basic hospital, room and board, meals, semi-private room. There could be other expenses that are involved there during your time in the hospital, but this is covering the main hospital stay. After 60 days, if you had an extensive stay, then days 61 through 90 would be $419 a day. You have to start paying per day. Yeah, it gets expensive. Now, if you have to stay beyond 90 days, what's the longest hospital stay you've ever had? Just curious.